Have you ever been in a poker hand and questioned, how much should I bet? Greetings, poker lovers. Today we will explore 8 types of bets in poker.
Stick around to find if betting with trips from the big blind is a blunder on this board.
When I say how much, I don't mean the dollar amount. And it's not only about the amount of chips you throw in the middle. So what is it? You have to size your bets as a percentage of the money already in the pot. Why? Because if you bet $5 into $100, you achieve nothing. When the bet is insignificant, you cannot bluff anyone off their hand. And if you have a strong hand, your opponent will be more than happy to see one more card for cheap, for a chance that their hand improves and beat you. Alright, let's get going. Number 1, continuation bet, also known as C-bet. This common type of bet occurs on the flop when you are the one who raised pre-flop. Being the last player to raise pre-flop indicates that your range of hands are generally stronger than your opponent's. So you bet a relatively small size to make your opponent fold a lot of the hands that didn't connect with the flop. A C-bet can be employed with hands that have potential to improve, such as high cards and draws. It is also used with strong hands to extract value from the opponent's medium hands that we beat that would not otherwise call a bigger bet. A C-bet is typically a third of the pot on dry boards, half the pot on dynamic boards with straight and flush draws, and only a quarter of the pot on highly dynamic boards, for example 3-card flush. Number 2, delayed continuation bet. This strategy comes into play when no one bets the flop and the turn does not change the board significantly. The pre-flop aggressor can then opt to make a delayed C-bet with the same objective as the regular C-bet. The bet size is usually larger because the opponent's check on the turn suggests a weaker hand. For example, you are the button, you open raise, the big blind calls, the flop comes and it goes check check, and the turn comes and the opponent checks to you, and then you make a delayed C-bet. Number 3, donk bet. A donk bet happens infrequently when you are out of position and you were not the aggressor on previous street. And instead of checking to the aggressor, you bet instead. For example, if your opponent bets the flop and you call, then the turn comes and you bet instead of checking to your opponent. It is a technical move that, if executed incorrectly, exposes weakness and a lack of understanding of the game. A donk bet is used when the board texture changes dramatically, such as when a higher card than the board appears, or a card that completes a flush or a straight draw. It serves the purpose of preventing the player in position from getting a free card, either because your hand has improved and you want to extract value, or because the board is now way more favorable to you than your opponent, prompting them to fold weak hands that would otherwise beat you.
Remember this board? The button raised before the flop and the big blind calls with pocket fours. Instead of playing it strategically, our friends gets overly excited with the trips and starts blasting chips. This is an example of a donk bet, but an extremely bad one. On a board like this, the optimal strategy according to the solver is to check every hand back to the button. This is because our friend, being the big blind, cannot have aces, kings or ace king. These would have raised before the flop. Only pocket fours. Thus, they cannot represent the best hand on this board. In order to protect our weaker hands, we must defensively check all of our pocket fours and hope to raise the opponent if they bet. Did you get it right? Let us know in the comments.
We will continue the other types in the next video, so make sure you are subscribed. As always, thanks for watching and I hope you learned something new today.